Okay.
Okay. So disclaimer too, I'm not a founder. I work for a startup, and also I don't have like a highest technology. And I was asked to share my experience in how to apply bio design from its simplest way to more complex. So I'm going to share like my story through bio design. I hope you like it, but I'm going to.
By using your service, it's ultimately yeah. So it's like just like
I think we're very tired, so I'm going to be quickly this week.
Best for last.
So as I was saying, I'm going to share my experience in bio design as a student, as a working right now, working at a health tech startup. And something about me, I'm right now the product manager of a health startup that is in Peru, but is expanding to LATAM. And also recently I joined the research program for data analysis for product managers course. And so I wanted to start this presentation asking the question why I'm very passionate about solving problems related to the health system in Latin America. I think we all have a story in the healthcare system. And my story and my family history is around my grandma. 5 years ago, she was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. And she was in the public sector, and that is very fragmented in Peru. And she received the basic treatments, and after 3 years, she was getting worse and worse and worse. So we ran a lot of tests, and we discovered that it was a negligence case. So the doctor diagnosed her wrong. She has not with cystic fibrosis, but she was with an autoimmune disease that affected her lungs. And at that time, their lungs were only 10% functional. So she died in December of 2020. And so after this experience and a lot of experience that sorry. Okay, sorry. I was not talking about my grandma like many times. Yes. I remember about her kids. Sorry. So after this experience and a lot of experience that we have in my family, there are many needs that we identify in the public health sector that from the patient perspective, from this day to this day are very wrong. So these are three needs statements that I have identified in the public health sector that are a way to consolidate the medical information that is very complex in a lot of diagnoses that they receive to have in order to make decisions for their own health. The patients in the public sector are not empowered. They have no too much information, and they don't have the knowledge to know how to be treated in the healthcare system. And also a way to be in constant communication with a healthcare professional in order to prevent medical error and improve healthcare outcomes. And the third one is a way to reduce the waiting time, to have not only a medical appointment, but also to access to the laboratory exams. Just to put you an example, in Peru, the waiting time to have a specialist appointment is up to 4 months. So it's very, very hard to access to the system. And I just wanted to point here that we, as patients, every day, we are always finding these kind of needs. So we are all empowered to make solutions about this. So with this in mind, I have always been really passionate about solving the patient needs and creating a lot of solutions for them to be involved in the system. And I started my working career in Roche as a pharmacovigilance intern. This is my team, and he is from the patient solutions team that we have worked like very closely. And the first example that I wanted to share using basic biodesign in the industry is that in my first month as a pharmacovigilance intern, I created a lot of reports for the adverse event of the patients. And I was very lucky because I talked to the patients every day, and these were patients that were with cancer treatments and with Roche medication. And something that I have noticed is that only 1 month we received 10 medications errors that are the doctor just prescribed the wrong doses to the patient. And I asked the patient myself to explain more about this problem, and they told me that only this error of the doses delay the the purchase of the medication, and sometimes they have to wait up to 2 weeks to receive the treatment. So it was a very big problem, and also we made some phone calls with the doctors, and the doctor just told us that we don't know what the doses are, and we sometimes just look at in the internet to know what the doses is, but when we don't, there is where the error happens, right? So I look at the data because in the pharmacovigilance area we have a lot of data, and in the last 6 months we have 90 reports of medication errors. So it was a really big problem. And so in here we iterate asking the patients and the doctor, not for solutions, but more about the context that they were eating. And we work with a patient solutions team to talk to the doctors, because I can, in my position, I can talk to the doctors. And after 2 iteration process and 1 really big failure that we have, because we asked the doctors, hey, can you really check the doses? And we think that was enough, but it was not. We created a solution that it was very, very, very simple. That it was a standardized guide that lists all the doses for the medication that were continuously having these errors. And we asked the sales representative to deliver to the doctors because they have a better relationship to them. And we wait 6 months after we implemented this. As you can see, it's very little technology and only 1 input in the doctor. And in the next 6 months, we only received 5 medication errors. So it was like a solution, and until this day, my team, because I led approach, is still working in this problem. So then I wanted to share that I'm very passionate about the innovation and entrepreneurship world and all that, because my family is also an entrepreneurship. And so I joined a Smart Doctor. That is a health tech startup that seek the integral well-being of employees, allowing them to be healthy and productive. They have a B2B model, so their clients are the companies and the users are the employees. Here are some pictures. This is the team. A fun fact is that he's the CEO, he is the CMO, and the co-founders, but are also doctors. So it's very interesting the fusion that they have with the world of startups. And this is me just presenting some metrics in the position that I have. So right now I work as a product manager. I have experience too in this company working as a social impact, the head of social impact, but I wanted to focus on what I'm doing right now. So in the innovation area, we have developed Vive, that is like live more in English. That is a holistic health program for the adoption of health habits and also weight loss. As you can see, this is the structure of the program, but I'm going to explain all the errors that we have building this. It's 6 months of the program. It includes teleconsultations because the company that I work on is teleconsultation services. It includes endocrinology, nutrition, psychology. As you can see, endocrinology is in the first and the last months because we check the metabolic rates of the patient, glucose, cholesterol, all of that. Also, we have continuous communication with the specialists through the chat, continuous education and nutrition and psychology, and also personalized progress reports because we identify that this is the most important thing that the patients wanted to know. Right now, this is only an MVP. We are working with 10 patients that may fill this profile and have enrolled to this program, but we have received a grant, and so we're going to develop this program. The early uses of this are the patients that have obesity and overweight. But I wanted to point something in here. When you're a founder in the startups, you choose what path you are going to build your way on. But when you are when you work at a startup, you have a defined client and user. The startup already has that. So there is good things and bad things about this. The good things is that your need finding and validation process becomes becomes a little bit easier because you have to choose from these people and you have to segment these people that you already have contact numbers, emails, and all of this. But how do you say, the wrong part of this is that the business model is well defined and you have to stick with it. Smart Doctor works in a B2B model, so you have to be stick with this, and also the cost efficient of the products that you build in here is very crucial. You have to your product have to be scalable, have to be profitable, and so and all of this, and also your company has already a business strategy that is developed, and you have to stick with it. So we know that we wanted to solve the overweight and obesity problem in employees because it affects their productivity. They are more likely to develop chronic diseases, and also this becomes more. And the employees has to pay more for them because they pay for insurance, and when you work for them and you develop all these diseases, it becomes more expensive to them. But we have to verify that if this is really a problem for the employees. I know that we are like tricking the design process here because we are going from the problem to the user. But we have identified that this disease affects mostly 70% of Latin American persons in here, and it's a problem that we have to like overcome. So we do a lot of interviews with the people that we have identified that have this condition, and we're also employees of our clients. And we develop like a lot of hypotheses, and we develop like a plan for an iterative process that we have to validate this hypothesis on. And we came up with this. This is the first structure of the program. We work side by side with our specialists because Smart Doctor hires the specialists. So we were able to build this first structure. As you can see, endocrinology is in 3 months. We also, at first, we have 2 teleconsultations of nutrition in like many months. There was a lot of teleconsultations, but we see a lot of guides on how to manage obesity in a lot of countries in these weeks. This is where we came up. Also, it includes continuous communication and personalized progress reports because we identify that this is the pain points that the patients have in the health system, and we wanted to include this. But this is where our learnings in the building a product came, because we built a budget for this, and it was very expensive, and we have not validated if our client is going to buy it. So here it was like chocar tu cabeza contra la pared. It's like
Running into a wall.
yes, running into a wall, and we have to start over again. We have to start asking what is the simplest way to treat a patient to them to feel happy. What is the simple way to satisfy the needs of our client, and also what is in the market. We do all the market analysis, and we also like try to squeeze up the budget as we can, but considering all of these things that we have. So this is where we came at last. Is that same picture that I showed, but the main goal of this is that 60% of our patients that enter to this program will reduce 5% of their initial weight. Why 5%? Because only when you reduce 5% of your weight, when you have obesity or you are overweight, you reduce also your metabolic rates, and this increase of your overall health. Here, as you can see, we reduce the teleconsultations, but also add all the continuous communication with the specialists that reduce a lot of costs that we have here, and also the patients will feel the freedom to contact the specialist whenever they can. And the great thing about this is that the cost of this program, the cost, not the
Price?
The price, yes, the cost is $17.3 per month, and it's also 6 months. And if we develop this program up to 12 months, it's way cheaper. So the last thing that we have to do is implement it. So we already have screened the patients. We decided to start only with 10 patients because we are going to be really in contact with them, having interviews with them, knowing what their needs are. And we already have identified in this process, because we are at the beginning of month 2, that continuous education, even if they told us that it was very important for them, it was not. They are not using the materials, but we are identifying that persons that have anxiety levels, because we measure anxiety levels and a lot of psychology metrics, really use the psychology materials. So we are like thinking about personalizing all of the process of the patient that go through this. And also we have a auto monitoring tool in the Smart Doctor platform, where every day the patient enters the data from their weight to their step counts, and through also the food that they eat. So we are constantly analyzing that data. And the good thing, I'm going to show the results. So this is one of the reports that we send to the patient. We are sending this monthly so they can also see what the progress are. This is the initial profile. I am my patient, but this is like the progress of their weight. This is like the gold weight that they have to be. IMC2 and their diagnosis, and the lost pounds that they have. Their habits in glasses of water and step counts, and also exercise. Most of them have increased the exercise in the program, and their nutritional profile too. We are counting how many healthy days they have. We built like a protocolized for qualifying each meal of the patient, so we can have like a more quantitative knowledge of their nutritional habits. And this is a report that they have, and we are entering month 2, and this is like the first results that we are noticing. 10% of our patients have already lost 5% of their initial weight. So we have some results in here. And the best thing is that these 2 patients, one had obesity type 2 and now is in type 1. And one of them is in obesity type 1 and now is in only overweight. And the 4 of other patients are like 1% in the BME to be like one less diagnosed. So it's very happy to see this, because we are noticing that it's changing in some people's life. And 40% of the patients are starting to exercise after entering the program. And 80% of the patients increase their water consumption from 4 to 5 to 6 glasses a day. And also in terms of retention and all of this that I wanted to point in here is that 90% of the patients fill the monitoring tool, that is the data that they enter, at least 5 days a week. So they are very compromised with this program, and the hypothesis that we have is because of the constant communication that we have with the specialists. And also 90% of the patients respond in the specialist chat within the 2 hours that they contact them. So this is very good results for me. I don't know for you, but the next step that we have right here is that we have received a grant from the government of Peru. So we are really happy for that. So we're trying to do like a little clinical trial for this, to have proof that this structure that we have built, that is already in an iterative process too, and we are going to have this final structure, is really like achieving the goals that we have in terms of weight loss and health habits. And we are trying to also recruiting 50 to 60 patients to have this clinical trial. So that is all that I have. Thank you.
show that we have that the patients have meetings with doctors and with psychologists.
Yes.
And where does the exercise in this program? Is it because the person wants, or there is also like here you're gonna do this type of exercise, here you do this type of.
No, we are not pushing the patients to do exercise, but we, in the nutritional and psychology teleconsultations, we ask the patient that this is like a good thing for them to do. And also because in the monitoring tool, they have a space like time exercise per day, and they are putting like 0, 0, 0, 0 every day. We think that this motivates them to just do a little bit of exercise.
Do you have along those lines, like, do you have like a leaderboard or something, like they have a fake name and we can see they're doing good compared to the other people, or?
No, we in this process have like anonymized all the data for them. We only show this data like anonymized for the client, and we deliver individualized reports for them. But we are thinking to include the community part in the program because
Maybe it's a little more peer pressure too.
yes.
Like, oh, these people are losing faster than me.
Yes. So this is an MVP. We are receiving all of these comments and try to include, but right now we have to stick with the least amount of something, even though this is a lot. We have to stick with the least amount of things to know which one of these is successful or not.
Yeah, I'm curious about the data from the patients. So for example, the weight, how do they enter their weight into the system? They
Yes.
measure it and tell somebody, or?
Yes, I'm going to enter tonight, but I forget to tell you this, but in the first week of the program, we delivered a welcome kit to the patient that contains a balance, a scale, a smart band, and also a cinta métrica,
Measuring.
like a measuring, yes, for them to feel more, and for them to have the tools to feel this monitoring tool. So this is what a patient view. This is, they have to enter their weight. They have to enter what they eat in dinner, no, in breakfast, lunch, like dinner, and the snacks that they have. Also the glasses of water that they take. Physical.
Quick question, it's a photograph, so if they submit a photograph, will your
The nutritionist.
the nutritionist will see the photograph
Yes.
and do some assessment of it?
Yes, we qualified all of these meals. We have a protocolized, like if you have something that is fried in your breakfast, you lose 1 point, something like that. And we like qualify these meals from 1 to 5, being 5 the most healthy one. So regarding to your question, this is a physical activity in terms of step counts and meals. So they enter this. We are developing this also for the app of the Smart Doctor. It's easy for them to achieve this, and we have the database of all of the entering data that we have, and we put this in another like Excel because this is an MVP and we are working with the basic technology that we have. I work with Excel. I like automate all of the Excel to have the reports like right away and all of that. So yeah, this is the data that we'll take.
I have a question. Would you like to maybe eventually, I don't know, like put in parallel as well as you report weight loss, maybe other variables that are maybe not always proportional to weight loss? I mean, for example, cholesterol levels that they're actually improving, or triglycerides.
Yes, we manage this type of metabolic rates in these reports.
Okay.
We don't put the cholesterol, glucose and all of this, but we put the metabolic diagnosis that they have.
That is also improving, or like the changes.
Yes,
will also be included there.
yes, we put that nutritional diagnosis that is related to the health, and also the metabolic diagnosis that is related to the metabolic rates of the patient. And something very shocking about this is this, all of the patients, if you have overweight of obesity, you have a metabolic diagnosis, so you are willing to have like a chronic disease in the future. And we are working also in the nutritional part. Cool.
Question, Christina. You said $17.30 is how much it costs.
Yes, it includes the cost of the teleconsultation, the continuous communication, also the operative process that we have within the company, like support people, my job, the job of the director.
So what do you think the willingness to pay is? How much do you think the?
$25 per,
Really?
yes, $25 per,
How do you know that?
because we ask that client.
It doesn't depend on your results?
If you achieve
Yes.
your goal.
We are not going to sell this if we don't achieve good results. It has to be a product that achieves good, the improvement of health habits and also weight loss and changes in the metabolic diagnosis.
That's good. $25. Fantastic. So who's next?
Guys work.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
I mean,
On time. 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
What time?
no, we're not
are we supposed to
exactly, like,
We're not-
couple.
we are done with the presentation. We have a little wrap up activity, or kind of thing. Do that,